Hey guys, Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC and bhspringsolutions.com. Back again for another session of High Power University. And we got a real short one for you today, but it's very blunt, direct to the point. And it's something we see in the BH Custom Shop Service Center frequently. And in some instances, it causes a need for parts replacement. This is Browning High Power that is in our shop right now, actually. And we did a spring optimization and buffering recoil spring guide rod and put back together, including a Browning new Sear spring. And we put everything back together, and we had trigger pulls popping off around 3 1/4, some at 3, some at 3 1/2. Some of them got a little over 4. It's kind of broad, but we didn't really see anything over about 4 1/4, and most everything was breaking in the 3s. And you guys that have done your own spring optimizations in your own high powers, you know that that's not the end of the story. There's more to this story because that combination, that's not a normal. Even with the BH Advanced trigger subassembly, which does give you some leverage advantage on the Sear lever. No, it doesn't get you to 3 1/2 pounds. Not with the combination, the spring combination, the original operating system, the big Sear, big hammer tooth relationship, more than the SFS. You don't come out with 3-pound trigger pulls with that combination. Got to be more to the story. So we went ahead, pulled it apart, took a closer look at the Sear and the hammer tooth. For those of you who may not know, the Sear and the hammer tooth sets in the gun just approximately like that. Your Sear lever contacts your engagement pad right there, causes this Sear lever to rotate against the force of that flat Sear spring, and then when it does that, it's going to cause that to clear the hammer tooth. Hammer tooth is going to go home to the firing pin. First thing we noticed on the Sear, the gunsmith that was into this, whenever it was, our customer recently acquired the pistol. He didn't pay a lot of money for it, and he sent it to us, and he was looking for a trigger pull. What was he looking, Dave? 5, 4 1/2, 5, 4 1/2 ish. We'd say like 4 1/2 to 5 pounds. We're not getting into that neighborhood. So we start looking at these engagement surfaces. One of the things that I think the gunsmith world at one time in this country, I think they may have had a specialized class on stone filing Sears and hammer tooths or something, because we see this an awful lot. You're going to see on this one right under the Sear. Yeah, you see that? That metal got hot, as you can tell, and he didn't even re-blue the Sear. This is another. This is actually one of our reconditioned Sears and operating systems. Here's the punchline. Put a caliper right there on the edge. You got a 1.0 millimeter engagement surface. And here on the one that's been obviously gunsmith, you have a 0.8, about 20% less engagement surface. And I'm talking about the dimension from here to here. So the thickness right there of that engagement surface. Seldom do gunsmiths stop there. And I'm talking, this is probably 30-year-old work. So, this is not personal about any gunsmiths today or any gunsmiths who use a lot of BH Spring Solutions springs and parts and components. And I don't know if this will show up in the video or not. Here's your hammer tooth. That's got a lot of evidence right there of a tool as well. That tool also got quite hot. And what it resulted in is it kind of resulted in a hammer tooth that's sort of not straight across. You're not getting a good quality engagement with the Sear, which is straight each time. There's what we'll call this the integrity hammer and hammer tooth. This is the one. And you can see, man, he came at this from both directions, didn't he? And what he was doing was he was thinning down that engagement surface right here. Basically, what you do when you do this is you really shorten the life of your parts. And this guy was he was very aggressive. He was on both sides of the hammer. Would have been nice if he would have took a bluing pin and protected the metal a little bit. But the Sear shows really some interesting places. Not sure he was completely knowing exactly where to go with his tool. But at any rate, this is a matter of replacement of some parts. Now, one reminder about the high power operating system. We do not consider hammers, sears, and safeties replaceable as standalone replacement parts. Sometimes you get away with it, but these are relational parts. In other words, these three parts must be mated. They must be in cooperative relationship with each other. And if you replace one of them without replacing the other two with mated parts, you're probably into a gunsmith bill and for fitting. If the new part can be fit to the older parts, because you remember you're going to be fitting a new part into two parts that have got some wear most likely, and there's nothing to really compensate for that except you have to fit to it. And we really strongly discourage, can't say enough, if you're a high power owner, please don't get the idea that you can look online and I'm going to get that extended safety and go ahead and put it into my gun myself. You may be causing yourself a dangerous situation. Similar can very well be said about replacing only a sear. Or replacing only a hammer. It's the reason the SFS system is so drop-in. It's because you're replacing all three relational parts all at the same time with mated operating parts. So in the case of this particular high power, we are going to install one of our reconditioned, frankly, it looks barely ever used, operating system that we took out of someone else's high power at some time, and they didn't want it, and we put SFS in theirs, and so we have a good, fresh, barely used operating system that shows no signs of ever being to the gunsmith. But the point that we wanted to make real clear here is this is the sort of evidence you're looking for to see. Sorry about that. If you have parts that have been gnawed on by somebody's tool at some point, somebody who had a good idea. The part of this that historically is relevant, quite frankly, is when my partner Slav and I started BH Spring Solutions. One of our the benefits of what we did when we designed the BH optimized springs was we developed the ability to, in essence, mimic with better reliability this work, but doing it with springs instead of doing it by removing metal anywhere. We did it by optimized springs that encourage the parts to cooperate more harmoniously together. But this would be an example of one that just had too much metal taken away once upon a time, probably a combination of that and some wear over the years, and these parts are going to get replaced. We're expecting a different outcome on this trigger pull once we do. Folks, thanks for watching. I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC and bhspringsolutions.com.